Okay, so welcome to this session, a session of Heads Up. I did promise that I would make some Heads Up videos, so we're just going to take another Heads Up now, and we're just going to talk about the strategy for Heads Up. And Heads Up play is really about aggression and putting pressure on our opponents. We're going to use position where we can, but we're going to be a little bit cautious because certainly in the early days, because we don't know too much about our opponent and whether they're tight or whether they're tight passive or whether they're loose aggressive. We don't really know yet. So we're going to try and figure that out as the game goes by. We're going to vary our patterns in terms of our betting patterns. When we do hit something on the flop, we're going to bet because even one pair on the flop is something that in Heads Up is still a reasonably strong hand. Hands like Ace 10, it's not necessarily a hand that we would always raise in six-handed, but in Heads Up it's quite a strong hand. We need to know when to fold. I mean, that's a really critical thing because we're going to be aggressive, but we need to know at what point we need to exit the hand. And at this point, I mean, he might have caught an 8, and that might have been a reason why he checked it down. If he does make a smallish bet at the pot, then I'm still going to call it with my Ace 10, and he caught a flush, but there you go. Bluffing is a really important part of Heads Up, and much obviously prefer to semi-bluff, but bluffing is a really important part of Heads Up play, and most of the time, obviously, 2 times out of 3 our opponent's gonna miss. So there is no reason for us not to be aggressive at flop, even when we've missed it, because the likelihood is our opponent's missed it as well. So it's really about keeping the pressure and keeping the aggression on. We've taken a bit of a beat at the beginning of this Heads Up, so our stack is a little bit depleted, which means we've got to be a little bit more careful in terms of when we do throw now. But to me, this is a complete bluff, so I'm going to chuck it on. King Jack is a raising hand, and in Heads Up, so is Ace 2. So we're going to raise up these hands where we think we've got decent cards. If we get re-raised, and I've already figured out that this is a loose aggressive player, I'm sure you saw by some of the moves he's already making, so there's no reason to suggest that we're not ahead now. So I'd like to have a look at the flop. The flop really hasn't bought me anything at all, and I'm inclined to get out of this hand and look for a better opportunity now. Again, he's raising me on the button with probably nothing, so I'm going to re-raise him strongly, and again he's calling, and I'm going to continue with the aggression, and we're starting to get a grip of the game again. His stack's starting to deplete, so he needs to be more careful about the pots that he gets involved with. Obviously I've hit second pair here, and I'm going to check it and see if I can improve and trap him. So I'm going to flat call it, and well, this is the obviously opportunity to check to trap him again. So I'm going to check again. There is a potential flush draw out there, but I'm not so worried about that at the moment. So this is the opportunity now for me to raise quite strongly, and it might be an opportunity to throw it all in. And obviously, if he had an ace and he was fishing for an ace, then he'll probably call my all in now. So I'm just going to chuck it all in. And obviously we brought the pot down. So I think that's a pretty good example of how you can read an opponent, an aggressive opponent, and how you can kind of make some value by slow playing certain hands and trapping people. I think that wasn't a bad session to kind of demonstrate some of the tactics. So just to kind of reinforce position, really important. You're going to be in position 50% of the time. Make it pay. Don't raise up every time on the button, but raise up more often than not. Be very aggressive. Keep your pressure on. Stealing blinds is important. So you know, if you're against a passive player, tight player, you can do that more often. Against the sort of player that we're playing against, just and perhaps less so. Be prepared to vary your hands. Your betting patterns depending on the hands that you get. So if you get ace king, normally you'd raise it. If you get ace king again, you might you might just check it down. So to vary your betting patterns, and don't be predictable in heads up, because that's the worst thing you can do. Be prepared to fold when you have to fold, and be prepared to shove when you think you're ahead, even if that even if the fact that you're just holding second pair, or you've got a flush and a straight draw or something. If you think you're ahead, don't be afraid to push, because you can't win every heads up. It's not it's impossible. So when you think you're in a position, don't be afraid to throw it all in. Any more questions, just fire them off to me at www.mypokercoach.co.uk, and I'll try and answer any questions I can.